Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff Campbell come for you?
The Good, the Bad, and the Guilty is recorded live with the men and women of law enforcement. All suspects are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Now, here's your host, Iredell County Sheriff Darren Campbell.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you
Everybody,
gonna
welcome
do
to the
when
Good,
they
the Bad,
come
and the
for
Guilty.
you?
And we've got my guest here. I'll introduce him in just a second. But I'm Sheriff Darren Campbell, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today. You can tune in to us on X, Facebook, 14 AM, 100.7 FM, 105.9 FM, the WSIC app, which is on Apple Play or your Android device. So pretty cool. Seems like it's been forever. We've been here. It's been a year. See, you get it.
Every time.
Every time. So, well, do thank y'all every day for joining us. And I'll introduce our guest in just a second, but I want to give a good shout out for our sponsor here, which is Harrison's. And always remember, from the job site to the rodeo to the backyard hammock, Harrison has you covered. And they're the Southeast leader in area, Carhartt, workwear, and nobody has more in-stock work boots than Harrison. So you got to go join them. I appreciate them sponsoring the show. It's a lot to say in this day and time to have a lot of law enforcement support, and they do us a great job. I'm telling you, anybody go down there, Christmas is over, but I'm sure you got a lot of gift cards. You can go down there and buy all sorts of stuff.
They got
So,
everything.
They do. So today with me, I'm going to have Jarid Church, new. Jarid, you're a sergeant, I think, since last time you've been on here, I think. Maybe not. I can't remember. Well, hold on. Let's rephrase that. Not sergeant. I stand corrected, but you've transferred over to the cops unit.
Got a different uniform on, yep.
So tell us a little bit how that worked out and sort of what your duties are now versus Lake Patrol.
I mean, you know, I spent since 2018 on the water. I was kind of looking to get out and get back in the car and contribute in other ways. So got to put this uniform back on and get out. And on the water's fun. You're out there.
Especially with weather like today in January.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I know on the way over here, I heard those guys were out there handling some calls on the water. So everybody's out there between all the seasons and the beautiful weather. I mean, people, even when it was cold, they were skiing the other day. So,
you know, I did see somebody putting this, going to call them something otters. I can't remember, but they was actually skiing. I mean, just think, here it is, January the 7th today. 70, supposed to be 72 today.
yeah, it was on the way over here.
Now, I don't know if I'd want to jump in the water.
No,
What's
no,
the water
it's still-
temperature? Let's see how good you are.
Right now, I'd say probably 50s.
That's trout water.
Yeah. 100%.
So, well, congratulations. You're going to do a great job on. Oh, we've got 10 more Yacho. Did you say it? I know you said you made the move, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, we moved over to. I'm still in the South End down there in the cops unit, so still work with the late guys regularly. Still working for Lieutenant Gudgeon. I think you had him on the show recently. And,
Seems like I recall.
Yeah, Major Fink. So good group of guys down there.
Well, and you know, we got to give a shout out. If y'all want to leave a comment on the thing for Major Fink, he had a little bit of a surgery, and you know, I've been texting with him today. Obviously, he's I think he's taking advantage of it. Just say, good. You can comment. He's
No,
your
I
mate.
talked to him earlier today as well, checking on him.
He's already
and
ready to be back to work.
He
so.
is ready to be back, and he appreciates everybody reaching out to him. And he mentioned y'all had a conversation this morning, so he really appreciates it. You know him; he's not made to be tied up in a house. And
No, and I'm sure his wife. I'm not saying, but she probably just soon him come back to work as well. So
she'll take advantage of it, I guess, and he'll milk it too.
He will. He will. So, you know, the cops unit in the South End and, you know, the staffing levels, we've spoke about this. I mean, y'all are really covered up with population growth in the South End.
Absolutely.
So that brings me into, I'm going to introduce Matthew here. Matthew Lee is officer with the North Carolina Wildlife Resource Commission. So we try to bring on a lot of our state agents we work with. You wouldn't think how close we work. Just like First Sergeant Hall the other week, we work a lot with Highway Patrol. Right. And y'all are one of our great partners in the South End, but not just in the South End. Just like the other week, you called us talking about radio program, and you said, hey, it'll work in Mooresville, but don't work in North End. But
That's right.
you know, one thing about y'all's job, being a wildlife officer, is pretty much, and you've heard this, but everybody you deal with at some point is mostly armed.
Correct.
I mean, you deal with hunters, they're all armed for the most part. And you may be up North End. I don't know how many officers are assigned here. I know it's not the numbers that we have, but if you need help, we're there, and we
That's
try to
right.
be there, and y'all were there for us. So, Matthew, and I shouldn't call you Officer Lee, about 11 years
Yes, sir.
with the Wildlife Resource Commission. Now, did you start with wildlife, or was you with another?
So actually, I'm from Stanley County originally. I started with the Stanley County Sheriff's Office.
Oh gosh, Jeff Crisco's the sheriff down there now. Yes, go ahead.
So started off my law enforcement career with Stanley County Sheriff's Office. Served there about a year, then got picked up by wildlife. My first duty assignment was Davie County, so I went to Davie County and then Catawba County, and then now I'm here in Iredell County. So.
Well, glad to hear you're a parent. You've got little ones. Just got a new one.
I got a new one. Yep, it turned a year old back in December, so it's a pretty exciting time for us.
And I remember us talking. It's hard to believe it's been that long. So,
That's right.
congratulations. Obviously, a little late.
Thank you, sir.
Next year, maybe you work on another Christmas present. Have you another one?
That's right. That's right.
So, but a lot of people want a relationship. So, Jared, this is where I'm gonna lean on you and Matthew. And I know we got a break, and if everybody knows, we'll take our first break here in about 2.5 minutes. So, I guess really to set the floor for our second segment is how we work so well and together, and how y'all work together. Sort of like one agency, but how y'all work close, especially the largest man-made lake in the state. Not to mention a county that's almost 600 square miles.
Oh yeah, absolutely. They, the relationship, which, when you look at the cops unit and being out in the community, and the same philosophy we got all over the sheriff's office, working with the community, but it's also working with the other agencies, and being out there on the water. You see how many boats are out there, and there's only so many resources, which kudos to you for the foresight you had to grow the unit that we have, and the equipment and the personnel. But
Well, I got to give hats off before you go in with our legislators. Vicky Sawyer, Jeff McNeely, a lot of them has really helped us. And the General Assembly in itself has helped us with assets, which locally would have been hard to come by when I went and asked for a $400,000 boat to keep people safe. So
absolutely. So, all these advancements in technology and equipment and personnel, we still lean on each other. I mean, everybody can remember it's not far removed from the shutdown years where everybody was outside and, they had nothing else to do, and the lake was just bowling with people. And, it's hard to cover. We've got the new equipment to go from one end to the other just as quick as we can. And there have been times where it has been life or death, and being able to travel that quickly, that fast, and get on scene has meant somebody living or dying. And, but we're all on the same channel. We got a good working relationship, and no matter what the call is, we're working together on that kind of stuff. We can go into more of that later, but it's been instrumental.
yeah, and there's a lot of assets out there, not only the boat, the life-saving things and tools that we have, but also Mooresville Fire, Mount Moore, Lake Norman, Shepherds. I don't want to miss Troutman Fire. I don't want to miss anybody, but the lake, and I'm going to test my knowledge, and maybe you'll correct me. I want to say it's around 34,000 acres. I mean, or is that it? I know we have more shoreline.
We have
over half the lake.
We have, so shoreline, you're looking at 520 miles of shoreline, and ours is around 270, 280. I'd have to look at the numbers. So line share is ours, but with the joint resolutions and stuff like that, we can go anywhere. We can help anybody.
That's good.
We stay in our own playground, but we can jump out and help everybody, and they help us. So
Matthew, we didn't leave you much time, but so you understand the relationship, or y'all work it well, and
Yes, sir, we do.
communications, and we're going to hit a lot in that back. Not just what they may think, but also how to be a wildlife resource officer if you've got a young person that's interested, or an older person, I guess.
Yes, sir. Right.
And we'll definitely hit that in a little bit. So if you can, let everybody know. You can comment on Facebook. We're trying to watch comments. X, LinkedIn, Apple Play, you're tuned to us on the FM and AM. Well, welcome back to the Good, the Bad, and Guilty. Sorry, I was watching mine. I somehow got the volume up on my phone and forgot the intro. So, well, Matthew and Jared both, we was gone. So, and Matthew didn't get a lot of chance in the first segment because Jared was talking. I'm kidding you. But y'all work a lot together. So
We
the
do,
people
yes,
maybe
sir.
listen, because a lot of people down through Cornelius listen. What are the biggest issues? And I guess, and I know y'all are busy year round, but right now is one of the busiest times of the year for y'all. Well, of course, with hunting season, fishermen, and being with the largest man-made lake, the boaters. And a lot of people, and we'll get into it in just a little bit, but, you know, accidents on the lake, as far as drownings, y'all are very involved with us, if the vehicle's under its own power, things like that,
Yes, sir.
or boat collisions, y'all have to investigate it.
We do.
I know we cooperate with crime scene and help with that, processing those. So what's some of the biggest issues you're facing on the lake now, or would you like people to hear about it? And that can be both
Well,
of you.
You know, this time of year, you know, duck season is going on. So just, you know, getting those calls there, making sure, you know, looking at both aspects, making sure, you know, the hunters out there, they're being safe, they're, you know, enjoying themselves, and also, you know, answering the calls for service that we get. You know, the sheriff's office gets a lot of calls for service on the lake, you know, just from the 911 hang-ups to those boat incidents. So, you know, like you said, the partnership we have together is really good. There's myself and another officer, so there's 2 officers in Iredell County. So, you know, we lean a lot on the other agencies and you know, have those great partnerships as you spoke about, you know, just working together, especially in the summertime, you know, dealing with a lot of the major boat incidents. You know, we investigate those. So a lot of time, you know, getting those resources there, making sure, you know, the victims or, you know, whoever's involved are safe. You know, and then at that point, conducting the investigation, you know, just to see if anyone's at fault.
Well, you know, you're talking about, and Jared, you can sort of keep up on this. I know this year, knock on wood, or last year, I guess I should say, was very fortunate in drowning. But having the fast response of wildlife and y'all with a boat is, you know, we may have to use drone technology. And the bad thing about a boat collision is no matter if they're safe after the collision, they're still in the water. And that just depends if the vessel's still able to float. And we do have a lot. I mean, y'all have had airplane crashes. Y'all had, you know, obviously we're not seeing what we've seen at the airport the other week, but we have had crashes in the lake with people that we've actually had to retrieve, or y'all have had to retrieve out of the water.
Yeah, absolutely. And oddly enough, those kind of happen in the colder months. I know it's been a couple of years ago. Sergeant Johnson and them were basically first on scene to that one up there around Stumpy Creek. There have been other incidences that are right beside the water, but you know, you've got the Lake Norman Airport right there off of Perth Road. So, you know, trying to get turned around and come back in if they're having issues or something like that. So, yeah, you never know what's going to end up in the water out there.
And you know, I know last year, and I can't remember when it was, y'all had about 8 or 10 people on one pontoon boat, and you actually, I believe it was a storm, and they were coming in, and y'all actually was able to rescue them off of a sinking pontoon. And
Yep, and even save the dogs too. Yeah,
and the dogs.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't gonna say, I couldn't remember for sure
Yeah.
if there was or not. So
Yeah,
well, and a lot of people, I guess, the biggest thing is people, probably Troutman North, maybe not so much State, is how busy the lake is as far as visitors and how many boats are registered on that lake. And it's unbelievable the amount, especially in summertime, that y'all deal with.
yeah. If you look at the wildlife accesses, you know, the majority of them are going to be around Iredell County, and you look at the traffic between the commercial rental places and stuff right there around Highway 150, and that really concentrates, you know, a lot of boats in that area, and then a lot of your lake houses in the south end already have their own docks and ain't using the ramps anyway. They're just out there
Once you
cruising,
go down and
sunset
ride,
cruising.
you can see a helicopter on a dock in some places.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so Matthew, going back to, I guess we'll go ahead and hit what the season is. Do you have any input from a landowner's perspective and a hunter's perspective? Because you're absolutely right. Because I know the Saturday at daylight or whenever it comes in, people start texting about hunters and shooting ducks or geese, whatever they're hunting,
Right.
and the landowners.
Yes, sir. So, you know, we advise hunters just to use good judgment. So you have to take into consideration, you know, Moore's was a rapidly growing, one of the fastest growing cities around, especially in our county. So you have to be mindful, you know, that you do have a large population, but then also you have the hunters out there as well. So, you know, we do advise the hunters to in the aspect of the legality of being properly licensed, you know, and being safe. We know we advise hunters to use good judgment, especially when you're going to be around those highly populated areas.
And you know, it's strange to people. I mean, we do have a lot of people from other states, mostly up north, that come down here, and opening day, and I believe, is it open at dawn duck season, or
It is.
it's early? Okay, yeah, 'cause the phone starts going off early. But it is odd to be down here for the first time and see about 5 boats
Right.
shooting.
And a lot of times you have folks that's never been around hunting, so it may be something they've never seen or heard of before. So kind of educating, both sides, the hunters and those that don't hunt.
And this is the question I get, and it may be a weird question, but say you got a pet duck, a Christmas duck, and I mean a duck, a live duck, and you live on the lake, so you feed them, or you feed them. Let's say you've attracted them. Is that safe, or is the hunter? What's the hunter's position say? Because obviously, you're the expert on this, but I guess if I get the call, hey, they're my pet ducks.
Again, just stress using the good judgment. If you do have pets, pet ducks, pet waterfowl that are in the area, we would say just if they are your pets to kind of keep those, if
In the bathtub? No.
not necessarily in the bathtub, but if you're going to have those, have a fenced-in area,
gotcha.
Just like you would any other pet. Just making sure that they're contained. Once they're out, in a public area, there can be some confusion there.
Gotcha. And so that'll go on for a while yet. I think you still said another, I can't remember how long the season goes. So if people
Towards the
see-
end of the month, yes, sir.
So at least for listeners, they understand what's going on
Right.
and their rights. And I guess another big question, and Jared, you can jump in on this, because we do get the calls. Most of the time our telecommunicators or e-com can explain it to them, is you may move down here and you'll see a boat close to a boathouse that's actually fishing in a waterway, a navigable waterway. And I don't know if that's the way we used to do it, but people can fish around the dock.
You can fish around the dock as long as someone don't they don't get on your dock, they don't mess with any of your property. They can fish around your dock. Again, we hope that anglers will use good judgment as well, to not damage anyone's dock or cause any issues. But yes, we do get a lot of calls about the anglers fishing around folks fishing around their docks.
Okay. Yeah, because that is one of the things that we get a lot of calls about. And obviously, y'all, and I got to give credit to the citizens. Most of them understand. For the amount of people that's down there, we have very few calls. And once a lot of the HOAs work well with y'all, and Jared, I know y'all do, and I think y'all work together. You visit a lot of the HOAs who they can give that information out to their neighborhood, because a lot of the HOAs are controlled and groups are controlled on waterways. I mean, on the lakefront houses.
Yeah.
And
And we
stuff.
try to combat it a little bit too with, our lake guys. You instituted, along with the Community Watch program, we've got, Lake Watch, and this kind of slower time of year for our lake guys. They're going door to door, introducing themselves to people. Somebody will be like, it's not a big deal. I'm not going to call in about this. But when you go door to door, they're more apt to ask questions, and we kind of educate them about what we do here and answer those questions and kind of explain different things to them, and also share information, get information from them. It's helped us solve cases in the past where, we've had that relationship with people and like, hey, this don't look right, and we get to looking into it, and they're able to solve some, stolen vessels and things like that,
Yeah, and I think that's great you brought up the Lake Watch. And anybody that does not know what our Lake Watch, I think you did a good, just like the old Community Watch, but except it's on the lake. Some of the, because there's a lot of things that you can see. You can launch in Mecklenburg, come up here and commit a crime, and then drive right back down the lake and get out in another county. And, that's not accessible by patrol. So if you want, you can go onto our app. You can send us an email, follow us on Facebook, send the information to us. We'll log it. And you're absolutely right. We have people down there that's getting those names and those addresses. We hope you never have to call us, but if you do, you'll at least have a way. You'll have a contact information from us, and we'll have a record of you. And do y'all think, and this is a question for y'all, from patrolling from the waterways, answering calls from waterways, is it good to have your docks numbered with your street address?
I think it helps, when there's an emergency. There have been times when I was on the water, or the guys that are out there now, that we've all been out there long enough. I think you've said it before. It's one of the lowest turnover rates that we have here in this
It is.
department. Those guys love that job. They're passionate about that job. So they know that lake very, very well. You give out a call, a street address, they know they're close to it. And depending on the traffic in Mooresville, they might actually beat some of my road guys to that call. But in an emergency situation, being able to see those numbers on the dock, they know they're at the right one. We have satellite imagery and stuff like that through Google Maps and our CAD system. That helps. But, definitively knowing that's the dock I'm running up on, I'm tying off on to get to wherever I need to be, whether it's right there on the water or the next street over. So
That's good. And Matthew, from y'all's perspective, I guess the things you investigate, if you're out here and you're new, maybe not as new to boating as some people, maybe more skilled or whatever, What's definitely the things, if you're going to go out on Lake Norman, because I'm telling you, unless you've been there, because I think one section, I know we talked about the acreage a while ago, but it's long, it runs all the way up to Catawba River Change, which is shallow and dangerous.
Right.
But if you don't know the area, if you're going to go out, come down here and rent a boat at a boat rental place, because we obviously see, and that's a whole nother subject, a lot of our injuries are off rental boats and people don't have the training. But one thing is, what do you need? What should you basically be prepared for? You know, technology helps it. But also, the certification for a young person driving a boat. That's a lot of things people don't understand.
Yes, sir. You know, we do teach those boater safety. So if you're born after January 1st, 1988, it's a requirement that you have that boater education. So we actually teach that course. It's a great class. You know, Deputy Lewis teaches a lot. He helps us a lot out, you know, talking about that partnership with you guys. So again, getting educated, knowing, you know, what the do's and don'ts of being on the water. You know, and then also knowing, you know, where you're at on the lake, just like you said, having those, you know, numbers on your dock. You know, if we have a boat incident, it's at, you know, XYZ address. That helps us get the resources there, you know, properly if we're trying to get out there and, you know, make sure everyone's safe and, you know, the incidents getting handled.
When everybody's got a pen, you can simply drop a pin where you're at. If you know,
That's
if you
right.
have to call 911, you need to know how to check the phone, because it's capable of reading coordinates, is what you will do. So, well, we're going to take a break. When we come back in a minute, so think about this, Matthew. We're going to talk about what it takes to join some of North Carolina's finest, and we want to talk about young people's listening. So we'll be back in about 2.5 to 3 minutes, and send us some messages on our comment section. We'll try to get to them. Thank you very much. Welcome back to The Good, the Bad, and the Guilty. And obviously, y'all that enjoyed that music, Bill's not here today, but that is his select music, I guess. So, Matthew, I knew was going to get in, and we will get into talking about joining the Wildlife Resource Commission. And but we sort of, on break, we started talking about a lot of stuff. And they were asking me, we want to know, is there any alligators in Lake Norman that you're aware of?
Not that I'm aware of. But I have heard that Normie was out there, so I'm not sure.
So, and Jared, I'll get you. Who is Normie? If you don't know who is Normie.
So if you think about the Loch Ness Monster, there's a persona that kind of follows this region, and they call it Normie. And the reports that people have made look a lot like the Loch Ness Monster. So it's kind of the same storyline.
So it's a crooked log floating.
Maybe. There's a lot of stuff that washes down that river, especially when it gets over. I mean, you look at Helene, it was 10 feet over. Look out.
That is one thing, and that is true when you're boat, especially this time of year, and that wasn't what was going to. But there's still a lot of navigable hazards out in the lake, and a lot of them's old trees and things, because there's a lot of parts that's very shallow, especially the further north you go. And you're right. I remember seeing the videos of y'all out there with a dock floating down and all the trees that was coming down the river. So, But I want to come back before we get on moving, because this will lead us into our next little thing. I want to say thank you again to Harrison's, who's a sponsor for this show, and I did forget to give their website earlier, so you can visit their Mooresville location, or you can shop online at harrisonsusa.com. But as we were talking about that, you said that there's a lot of programs, and I want to give kudos where it is, but y'all did an Operation Blaze Orange. If you want to tell us about Harrison's was involved in that.
So it was actually the past hunting season, so we actually partnered with Safe Kids, Iredell County. We actually did a partnership just to promote hunting safety. So Harrison's actually donated a great portion of those Blaze Orange toboggans, some vests, just to donate whenever we're teaching a hunter safety course, or, we see a kid out in the field hunting. We donate those and give them some Blaze Orange to wear. So Harrison's was a great partnership in that.
And, before we move off Harrison's just a little bit, that is great to have a business jump in, because, you had said something about the hunter safety course. Now, in North Carolina, to get your hunters, after a certain date, you have to go through the hunter safety course. And I know we teach it. I know the schools teach it. Y'all teach it. So you want to hit on that just a little bit?
Yes, sir. So, if you're going to be hunting, you have to have the hunter education course. So it's actually a requirement. So if you're taking the class, it's a really good class. We offer it in person. Deputy Lewis, he's a great partnership for us, where we've taught the hunter education class, especially a lot of the high schools, goes around to a lot of the high schools, a lot of the middle schools. So it's a great class. Just talking about safety, when you're being out in the field, we've had young hunters and old hunters attend, and they say it's a great class, just putting safety at the forefront when you're out in the field.
Safety is a big thing. I'm going to say it's 2 or 3 weeks. I can't remember. You knew what I was talking about, and I'll bring it up because I'm not as familiar with the case you may are, and I don't want to talk about the case, but we just recently had a young man, I think it was a 12-year-old, shoot his dad and kill his dad in a hunting accident.
Right. So yes, just wanting to promote safety again, wearing your Blaze Orange, being safe out in the field. In the hunter education course, we talk about identifying your game, making sure, you're making a safe shot. So, again, just stressing that we want hunters to have a good time out in the field, but we want hunters to be safe as well. So
I'll say North Carolina, y'all do, obviously, I have more, I talk to other sheriffs, but y'all really do a good job working with us and the things, and we just hit the tip of the iceberg. You're talking about, a lot of people say, well, where can I go get my hunting license? I hadn't hunted in 3 years. I need to go get my hunting license. We are, and you correct me, and I'm going to give credits where it's due, is the Registered Deeds Office. You can actually go to the Registered Deeds Office here in Statesville now, correct?
That's right. So this past season, they actually started, as a service agent for hunting and fishing license. So you can go to the Register of Deeds, and then you can get those there. If you're at the courthouse running errands downtown, it's a great location to be able to utilize.
And for those that's like us, I'm not the most technologically savvy person, but I have learned that the Go Outdoors app, I renew all my stuff now, tags, you can check them off, and we were talking about, when I say that, when you fill your tag, for all y'all hunters, you'll know what I mean. Screenshot it, because as soon as you go to the process or wherever, you'll never have service. I don't care where you're at in the world, you're not going to have service when you need it. So you can screenshot, but tell us a little bit about the Go Outdoors app and how it saves a lot of time.
It does. So, we always, everybody now, we're a technologically heavy world, so everybody has their phone with them all the time. So we actually have a new app, Go Outdoors NC, fairly new, but you can put all your hunting license information, all your tags, so you can tag your game when you're hunting in the field. So it makes it a lot easier for hunters when they're out in the field. You've got your phone on, you can tag, and purchase your license, do everything in the Go Outdoors NC app. So it's a great thing.
It is. I got to say, since I've started using, I guess now I didn't use it for third, fourth year. I can't remember how long it's been out, but it's a great product. Click on it, got it, saved it. It'll tell you everything, and it'll automatically tell you when you're due to get your license.
That's right. Or you can set it up to do auto renew, so you don't have to remind yourself.
You can, and you'll automatically buy a hat if you ain't paying attention. I have learned y'all about selling some merchandise, which is a good thing. But yes, do that. And one last thing, and I may have said it, but I want to make sure how well, and we've got to give hats off to Kerrigan Farms does a lot for us. Jared or both of y'all can comment on this, but also the Marine Commission. You know, it's a legislatively created, I guess, governing body is the way I put it, since the lake was formed back in the 60s. I can't remember, but how well y'all work with the Marine Commission and also people, not just Harrison's, but also Kerrigan Farms, how much they do.
Yeah, absolutely. And everything goes back to the safety. Obviously, we're prepared. You know, we haven't got into how much training we do, but the working relationships we have with other agencies and then our community partners. Kerrigan Farms, they'll donate a lot of life jackets. Officer Lee over here has put these life jacket stands at most of the wildlife accesses and even at the state park.
That's right. That's
You've pretty much got them all covered now, don't you?
So yes, we have 6 public accesses in Iredell County, and we have a life jacket loaner station at every public access in the county.
So instead of just making one person, I think that started with, was it Towboat or?
It's actually the CETO Foundation.
CETO Foundation, but then some of our local partners just have the need to keep those life jackets out there. They don't cost you nothing. You put it on, and if you're done with it, you can put it back on the rack. Or if you're missing one or lost one out there on the lake going fast, then, you know, hang on to it. We just want everybody to go home safe.
And that's a great thing, and you actually answered. So if you need one, and you know you're going to need one, you're going to go somewhere else boat riding that may not have that capability. You can take one, and I guess now, what if you've got some you want to come donate? You don't just hang them up because we don't know for sure are they safe. So what should they do if somebody wants to donate something like that, life preservers or life saving things? Who do they call?
If someone wanted to donate, you know, they could reach out to us. Save Kids Iredell County, they're located at the health department, so they're a partnership that we have in the county. Really, we focus on providing life jackets for everyone, but we focus on life jackets for children. So if you'd like to donate any of those, you know, you could go to Safe Kids Iredell County. You can donate those. So they're a great partner for that program.
And obviously send us a message as well if you don't know
That's
that.
correct. That's correct.
So I've got a couple texts. So I know we will get into how to apply, because I want to make sure people know, because a lot of people says, how do I get to do that job? So I want to make sure. But I've got some it's actually good questions. What advice do you have for hunters interacting with landowners and the public? Basically, we get that call all the time. Somebody's trespassing on my property. What's considered trespassing? What does those blue or the purple spray painting on the trees? And you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yes, sir. So
that's some of the questions that maybe will help.
So the purple paint is in regards to the Landowner Protection Act. So they act as no trespassing sign. So if anyone enters your property for the purposes of hunting, fishing, or trapping, you know, they would be in violation of those. They have to have written permission on their person.
That's next. So the new written permission, you do have to have it, because that's what I had to have, a written permission.
Yes, sir.
So.
And that just clears up anything. If we get a phone call, you know, about someone hunting and they have that written permission on there, they can produce that. It helps, you know, to alleviate any confusion.
And if you sneak on somebody's property, this is a question that maybe I'm putting you on the spot. You sneak over on somebody's property, you put a deer stand up, you pay good money for it, you don't have permission, and the landowner or another hunter that does have permission finds it and removes it.
A lot of times, you know, we'll have that situation happen. You know, you can either hold on to that property, you can turn it over to the sheriff's office as found property.
Well, I appreciate that, or wildlife, but no, go ahead.
But we do have that situation a lot. I would just stress, you know, give us a call. You know, call the sheriff's office, call us. You know, sometimes we have folks try to get into, you know, verbal altercations. You know, just give us a call. You know, don't try to get out there and get into any kind of altercation yourself, because we have had that happen, especially with trespassing. You know, folks get a little heated out there. So just give us a call. You know, let us handle it. Don't try to confront anyone yourself.
We'll go back to technology. Now they'll hide a camera on their own deer stand to see who comes and gets their deer stand. Well, they didn't have permission to put it on the landowner's property anyway. So, and we just had that happen. Well, the guy took it. He didn't know who to call. Then it in turn changes to what one thinks a larceny to go to the magistrate. Anyway, a lot of stuff that we can handle if you just let people know. Check with your landowner. Just please don't assume. You can go on the internet now, GIS, you can go on the Iredell County tax records. You can find any piece of property and find out who the owners are.
And we actually use the OnX app. That's really great.
Okay.
That we use, and it gives all the landowner information to a piece of property. So that's a good resource to use
OnX?
too. OnX, yes sir.
Okay. We will be back here in about 2.5 minutes. We're going to take our next to last break. It's flew by, so I hadn't kept track of it. We'll come back and we will talk about a little bit about joining the Wildlife Resource Commission.
Yes, sir.
Everybody, welcome back to The Good, the Bad, and the Guilty. And Matthew, believe it or not, Jared, you as well, this is our last segment. Now, we've having so much fun, I couldn't remember if it was our next to last or the last, but this is our last segment. So, and Matthew is not just bragging about you, the wildlife officers and stuff. Y'all have always worked well with us ever since my career. I've always worked with them.
Yes, sir.
So if you're sitting there listening to the show, or you have a parent or a grandparent that says, hey, I've heard my kid want to be a wildlife officer, because a lot of them do. What do they need to do?
So you apply online. So you go through the state. There's actually a application process. So you'll go online, you apply online, then you'll get into, I guess, the application process. So once your application gets picked up, we have a process that we go through. So you'll have an interview. There's the POPAT, so the police officer's physical agility test. You'll do that as well. And then once you go through that hiring process, background check, once you get hired, we actually have our academy. It's at Samarkand, at the Justice Academy there.
And if anybody asks where that's at, I don't even know how. If you've ever been there, you would love it. Mm-hmm. But to get there and tell you where it's at, it's unbelievably isolated. And now the SBI does. It's a training facility, thanks to some of the General Assembly. But y'all got a great facility there.
So we actually have a new training facility that was just built in the last few years. So it's a great place. We do a lot of RN service training there. So that's where our basic academy is held. So it's about 30 weeks that you'll go through. So once it's just BLET, just like any other law enforcement officer, but then, we add some wildlife-specific things. We do boat driving, kind of the game warden aspects of it. We add all those in there. Then once you complete the process, you're certified. Then you get sent to your training station. So that's you'll be placed with a veteran officer for 6 months out in the field. And then once you get through all that, then you'll be placed in your permanent assignment. So it's pretty lengthy process, but it's
So
well
is there
worth it.
age? Can you be too old to get on?
So we don't actually have an age requirement. So you have to be at least 21, but there's no age cutoff limit. So I know in my academy we had a guy in there. He was 45 years old that went through the academy with us.
So there's still hope for.
So there's still
Jared
hope.
and I. Well, and y'all, through the years you've always heard it's real hard. It's hard to get on wildlife, and it's a good job. How many officers do y'all have statewide?
So we have a little over 200 officers across the state. There's one in every county at least. Some counties have 2, some have 3, but there's an officer in every county in North Carolina.
And sort of going back a little bit, like sometimes when our lake here, do y'all pull resources from other counties to come down?
So we will. So, like we said, in our area, our patrol area is Iredell, Yadkin, and Davie County. So we have, all our officers in our patrol area, but then we'll pull officers from other districts. They'll come down from Ashe County, Surrey County, the Allegheny. They'll come down from the mountains and help us. So, we do, again, work good, work well, having other officers come and help us, and again, working with the sheriff's office, those great partnerships. We've put our officers on the boat before, and vice versa a lot of times.
Well, cool people don't say, y'all get to do some cool stuff, hiding out in the wood,
We do.
dressing up, wearing your ghillie suits, waiting on some violator to come through. That's the cool stuff a lot of people don't think of.
That's the game warden stuff that we get to
Well,
do.
now
so
it's here, you can be out in the middle of a dove field, and you can look to see the horizon from one end to the other, turn around, the game warden standing right beside it.
Yep. Oh yeah, old green jeans. Which y'all got 3 different districts that touch Lake Norman?
So yes, we have our district, District 7, we have District 8, and then District 6. So all those, counties, Mecklenburg, Catawba, Iredell, Lincoln, all those counties touch the lake. So we work well together with our other districts, and then also, like we said, the sheriff's office, the local agencies.
If you apply from here, what's the chance of you getting to come back to your home county? I know a long time ago, a lot like patrol, you was gone. Now
Right.
it's sort of laxed a little bit.
If there's an opening in the county, if there's an opening, you can come back to that county. Last year we actually started a accelerated program. So we had folks that have been in law enforcement that were already certified that went through the accelerated program. So we've actually had some individuals that's applied, went to school and got to go back to where they were from. So it
If I was
actually
a
worked out
rookie and
good.
come out of school, wildlife or the highway patrol, and I heard Iredell, with all the interstate miles and all the roads, and then the biggest man-made lake in the state, I'd be concerned. So, well, we appreciate you joining us today. And there was one last question. This is actually a good one, got sent to us. If the public needs a report, wildlife violation, where can they find the number?
So
Or
you
who
can-
should they call?
You can actually go online. We have our 1-800 number. If you go to ncwildlife.gov, you can go to our website, and all that information's on there.
Well, how about that? Now, the Go Outdoor app, could you report it through there as well?
Actually, there is the information in the Go Outdoor app, but if you wanted to report violations,
Okay.
You could go through our website.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you being here today. You're
Glad to
welcome
be here
back
with you.
anytime. We did want to address one thing here. Jared, did you want to add anything?
No, just you'll probably see us out there. I know it's 72 today, but this is when we start gearing up for the next season with all the other agencies, training with wildlife, training with the fire departments, Cornelius, Catawba, Lincoln County, training with all those guys. So we get that done before the season starts. So we're just now getting ready to start getting busy again.
Yeah, I know that's one thing we got to deal with. The staff. We've talked about staffing rates about 1 in 9,200 down towards the lake. So y'all are short down there. A lot of population growth. So that's something we'll be working with commissioners this year to justify why we have to keep adding to those assets, especially equipment and being able to recover bodies. Because on the lake, if you're missing on the lake, it's not. In the woods, if it's warm weather, you can survive a night. You're in the middle of the lake floating, you can't get back. You're not going to survive. So we appreciate the working relationship. You're welcome back anytime, and we're going to talk about one thing, and you from a law enforcement perspective, you can probably understand this. And this is something that happened Saturday night. And everybody's heard it's called the Ding Dong Dash. Okay, we did end up arresting an individual by the name of Craig Stephen Mason for felony assault with a deadly weapon, intent to kill, 4 counts of felony assault with a deadly weapon, felony discharge of a weapon into an occupied vehicle. So that's been all over national news and everywhere, but let me give you a little bit of the backstory on that. The kids were out basically, I guess it's something, I don't know, TikTok, wherever. I don't know if it's a fad or not, but we all know what ding dong ditch is. Basically knock on the door, ring the doorbell, run. This case, and a lot of people, just a little bit of confusing to use a weapon. This was, the facts of this happened at a neighbor's house. This individual was asleep and heard a loud noise. This individual, or our suspect, came out, seen a vehicle on a road, on a public vehicle area, driving with no lights, slow, and opened fire on that vehicle. You know, Jared, I think, and Matthew, you as well, we all understand the use of deadly force. We understand protecting yourself. But there has to be the part about you have to be in fear for yourself or protecting another person, a third party, from deadly force or whatever. So that was the purpose of it. That was we've had a lot of comments. I think most of the public understands that wholeheartedly. Is it aggravating what the kids were doing? Absolutely. But you still can't go out and I'll say it's like an Amazon driver, an Instacart driver, or what if it was our kid or your parent or us? You have vehicle problems and you're coming down the road. You may forget your lights are on. Nobody should just be able to come out and fire a weapon numerous times at you. Mm-hmm. And, of course, one of the individuals was struck. Thank goodness it was just one. From what I hear today, he finally did get out of the hospital after going through another surgery. So that's sort of the case with that. And, you know, that's been we've had a lot of information. Very complimentary of the job the deputies did. You know, they actually heard the shots. They were close on a traffic stop and heard, so they was there within about 2 minutes. So what's your input, especially down in Moore? I mean, look how close and it happens down there. I mean,
And I've gotten calls about young kids doing it, you know, these little scooters and stuff going through the neighborhood, and you find out, and everybody knows everybody. I mean, you know, it's growing, but there's still that kind of neighborhood feel where people know their neighbors, they look out for each other, and we encourage that, obviously, and that relationship with us. But, you know, I've talked to a parent of a 9-year-old that's running around in the middle of the night, and he's having a sleepover, and she's like, I had no idea that he snuck out and was doing this, but everybody's got cameras, and, you know, they help us, and, you know, just kind of teach them, you know, what's right and wrong. You know, you probably shouldn't be doing this, and, you know, try to avoid situations that's going to put somebody in a bad spot.
and you know, you're right. Parents can educate, and we can do everything we can, tell them, we can keep an eye on them, but, you know, at some point, we have to sleep as well. But,
Oh, yeah.
you know, in this case, you know, for the overall, from what I understand, most of the kids were good kids. They knew the people in the neighborhood, so it's not like they were from somewhere else. So you can see, but no matter what, it's sort of like I told one of the news agents here this week, it's still, it's fortunately, it wasn't worse. But they still, no matter what, they're actually knocking on a doorbell or something, or knocking, and like I said, it's around 11 o'clock, I believe. You shouldn't still be faced with deadly force for driving down a road. And there was no threat at that point. No matter what you articulated happened at the house or your house, which was not even at the suspect's residence, it was in a neighbor's. But after the threat's done, it's done. And we have to live by those rules, and so does the public. And I think everybody goes through the concealed carry class, knows that, educated, and that was one of the cool things, seeing some of the comments. They were actually explaining standing ground, so the public's pretty well educated on it.
Yep, absolutely.
Sorry. So, y'all, we've got about 2 more minutes. Anything you want to say, Matthew? You got anything you want to leave parting words? You as well, Jared.
Well, I just appreciate being on the show. Appreciate the great partnership we have with the Sheriff's Office and you, Sheriff Campbell, letting us be on the show here today, and just, you know, the continued partnership that we have. And I think we have a great working relationship. You know, if I call one of the deputies down there, nobody ever hesitates to jump in and help us, and vice versa. We never hesitate to jump in and help them. So I think that's a great thing that we have here in our county.
Y'all do a good job, both of y'all, and I'm not just saying it, and so does the other way. Ethan on the Lake Patrol Sergeant now is going to do a great job, but, you know, a lot of people don't understand the width and just how big that lake is. You got McGuire, you've got Catawba River, I got Lake Lookout. Y'all stay busy. This is a county that is good for water activities if you're interested. So, but there's a lot of work into making sure they're safe as well.
Yeah, and those tools, I mean, you think about a missing person out here in the county or something like that, and then people wonder, why is a boat going to a missing person? But, you know, you might have a dementia patient or something like that. When we've had them all the time, we've got Project Lifesaver. We were talking to some individuals last night, but boats are showing up. Water complicates everything, and so having those tools and personnel is.
You know, that's a good thing, because we do, and it happens even with kids. Watch your kids. If they can't swim, make sure they got life preservers, everything. If you live near the water, one slip, one reach to feed a duck or whatever, I mean, Because we do have a lot of Alzheimer's, and it seems like young kids are attracted to water.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you're right, that Project Lifesaver contacts, if you got somebody with some issues that may need to be tracked, or they walk off, or they've got a mental issue or medical issue that potentially they could get lost, contacts, we do, it's a free service. So, but we'll see you back next Wednesday. Thank you both again for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for listening.